Is okay.
Got it.
Record.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the pre-event series of the upcoming Startup Weekend Yangon. So, essentially, the Startup Weekend by Techstar is a 54 hours, 3 days event that is built for the to support the entrepreneurs and the young business persons. It's a 3 days hackathon-like event where people who has idea or who has no idea, they can come to the event and brainstorm the ideas, learn from the mentors and the experienced business persons about how to build a how to build a business, the startups, and at the next day, they will learn how to pitch and also experience uh, the experience of pitching for the investment to real investors in front of the real investors. So the upcoming Startup Weekend by Techstart in Yangon is happening physically in December December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd is the 3 days event. And we're doing the pre-event interview sessions to gain knowledge and familiarity about startups and businesses. So we are doing the interviews of the experienced business founders and the business persons. So in today's sessions, we are taking in honor of inviting Mr. Fredric. So uh, let's start the interview. So, uh,
Okay.
sir, would you start off by telling a little bit about yourself and your company, Golden Thread?
Okay. Well, about myself, I've got a very mixed background of a lot of experiences in education, which we can go into at your pleasure. Um, and Golden Thread is a company that I started to do something different in the world of genetics, because genetics has been focused on disease and identifying the genes that relate to the bad things in your future, cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's. But what I realized, and through my students at Johns Hopkins, where I'm an adjunct in the biotechnology program, they came to me and they showed me a research paper out of Stanford University in which they gave 14 triathletes their genetic data, and their injury rate went down 44%. And I went, wow, if these guys could see their genetics for the risk of injury and lower their injury rate significantly because they adjusted how they played, what they trained, and so on, I said, this is time to start doing this for everybody. So Golden Thread is focused on, we're creating a platform in which we will combine genetic data about you and your risk of injury based on your body, your brain, and your everything, and big data analytics to give personalized guidance to each person on concrete steps to lower the risk. And the metaphor that we use is we want to be the Google Maps of genetics, because Google Maps never tells you what you should do. It says, here's what you can do. And if you get lost, we'll figure it out and get you back on track. That's the way genetics should be done. And this is what we want to do for people around the world who have kids in sports and who are adult athletes themselves. So I hope that gives you some clarity on what Golden Thread is about.
It is, and it is very impressive and interesting. Yeah, with the world of going AI and genetic modifications, and like leading companies like Neuralink or Elon Musk try to drill the skulls and put chips. So yeah, we can see, and it's a scary future. So yeah, and it's a good thing. You're providing what we can and what is our future science about, and what is our possibilities. It's really good to have a business like that. So what was your the early days of your founding your business looks like? How did you like find your team? How did you like improve your idea or build the prototypes, etc.? Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. And the starting point had two paths. The first path was determining whether there was sufficient science to actually deliver concrete insights to people. And so we spent the first year examining the science of genetics and discovered there's a ton of valuable stuff. For example, there's a gene variant that increases the risk of concussion by 300%. You think you might want to know that if you're playing a sport in which concussion is an issue. So that's the first part. The second thing we did, which is something that I learned in the technology field, because my career in technology started in the 60s when I did computer programming in the early days, is we began reaching out to potential users and customers. And we have a presentation that we show people that describes what we're doing. And then at the end, we ask them, what do you think of this? Is this something you would want to do? Is this something that you would like? Would you pay for it? What would you want to see as a feature? What would you not want to do? So the two parts were, do we have sufficient scientific knowledge? And will the target customer base want to, in fact, be customers? One other point I'll add, in my experience, because I started my career, I did AI software in the 70s when I wrote an AI system to identify the risk of infection on admission to a hospital. So it's a tool, and you have to think of it as a tool, and that was a critical factor. We knew that big data analytics, machine learning, AI is a tool to take lots of data and make sense out of it, but that's part of the model of getting data from people.
Yeah, it's interesting and very admirable, because like during the tech in 60s, it's inevitable in with our generations, and AI systems in 70s. Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
that's what a legend looks like. So
Well,
you're witnessing a live legend, I guess. Yeah. Please continue. Yeah.
And I love how the technology has evolved over the years, and I've seen it firsthand. I've been involved with companies in the software field in the 80s and 90s, and that's why it's so powerful today, because people continue to improve it, to experiment, and that's an important thing, because when you start working on a business, particularly if it's technology, sometimes people tell you why it's not a good idea. I found that don't listen to people who tell you those things. Focus on your target audience and let them, if they tell you it's not a good idea, that's different. But if you think it's a good idea, go for it, and then build something that other people haven't done.
It's really a common saying in the startup industry, but like people are just going the way that we like. And personally, I have many lessons starting my own startup and also investing in some other startups and like Web3 space, etc. So with the rise of the AI trend and the genetics trend, what problems or obstacles are you facing in your business? What challenges do you face, and how are you like solving, or how are you making those smooth? Yeah.
A great question. And for any startup or early stage business, one of the big challenges is getting enough resources to build the thing you want to build. And that's where I've encountered the biggest challenge, because when I talk to people who are the potential investors, what I'm doing is so different that they don't have any benchmark to say, oh, we can understand why this can work. And so it's a question then of finding the right investor people who understand that when you're doing something really different, there's risk involved, but the reward is the impact and the financial benefit. The other thing is it's important to get good talent to come on board. One of the things I discovered is that many technical people who would want to work with me are good on the technology side, on the data side, but they didn't really appreciate that our target customer is a mom of an 8-year-old. And a mom of an 8-year-old is typically not a very sophisticated technology person. She's typically not the person who dives into the database. And so the challenge I found was getting people who understand that it's not the technology, it's the ability to make the technology communicate with our target customer in a way that the customer says, wow, I like this. I want to use it as a tool. Again, that's why Google Maps is so successful, because Google said, you don't have to be brilliant. You just have to understand give us the address where you're going, tell us where you are, and we'll get you there.
Yeah. So the Google Maps is so intuitive, right? So yeah, relating to that answer. So you have started your career at a company in the last decade, but today the startup the tech landscape has I believe it has shifted for the good. And what do you think has changed for the new the startups in the healthcare or the healthcare industry? What opportunities do they have right now comparing to your back in your time, and what advantages do they get, and how can they leverage them effectively?
Well, I think that's a great question. And I think part of the answer is just the fact that you and I are having a conversation, and you are in Asia and I'm in the Eastern United States, and we're talking about healthcare. So the first thing is we're now in a global economy and a global communication. And so you don't have to think narrowly of, I want to build something for the people of Burma or Pakistan or Germany or, Brazil. It's anywhere. In fact, just for what it's worth, when I show my presentation to people around the world, and this presentation I've shown to roughly 1,500 people, and to get their feedback. And at the end, what they say to me is, Fredric, we really like this, but when you come launch in our country, don't do it only in English. Use our language because we want people to understand it. And it sounds silly that you have to say that, but it's true. In a global economy, the local language is what you're going to communicate to. The second thing I would say is, in my experience in healthcare, is that if you operate from the point of view of fear and telling people what bad things are going to happen to them in the future, your chance of having an impact is very low, because people do not make decisions today on Saturday, the 18th of November, based on what could happen to them in 2040. It just doesn't work that way. They focus on what they want to do today to make their life better. So if you're going to be in healthcare, focus on how to make life better.